The question I ask is, are there any really true world leaders? World leaders. Leaders who are concerned with the peace, purpose and prosperity of everyone in the world, not just the people in their nation or their country or their local area. As I speak, I'm told that two of the most powerful men in the world, representing two of the biggest, most powerful countries in the world, are getting together to discuss how they can defend themselves against an equally large world power or power bloc. This is a case of egos, the biggest egos in the world in conflict. As I said, are there any really true world leaders? I can recall way back in the 1960s when John F. Kennedy, JFK, was inaugurated and he gave his great speech. Ask not what the country can do for you, ask what you can do for your country. Some people might have said he was a world leader. He wasn't a world leader. He was looking after the United States citizens and their interests. He was an American leader, not a world leader. Then you might think, what about Winston Churchill? Everybody talks about the greatness of Winston Churchill. He was certainly not a world leader. He was concerned with the British Empire and in particular, good old Blighty, England, the UK. In fact, in World War II, he was willing to sacrifice the Commonwealth of Australia and New Zealand in efforts to protect England. So Winston Churchill was not a world leader by any remarks. No matter how great he was not a world leader. Do we have any? That's the point. Do we have any? Have we ever had any? The answer probably would be yes. Some of our great religious leaders went along those lines. They did not preach for their nation or their local area, even though they might have preached to their nations and local area. For example, Buddha. If you look at Buddha's teachings, there's no reference to who's good and who's bad as far as nationality is concerned. And if you look at Jesus Christ was obviously not a racist because of his story of the Good Samaritan. He was trying to make the point that all human beings are of equal worth. What leaders in the world do that? You might say Mahatma Gandhi, great leader, and he was. But his interest was making India independent of the British. It was a case of them and us. It's always a case of them and us. We have not reached the stage yet where we realise that we are all one humanity, all have the same values and interests, well maybe not the same values, but certainly want the same things. Peace, purpose, prosperity, safety, all the things that every human being wants. And whilst we have this business of them and us, it will not happen. If you look at the United Nations, first of all, the League of Nations was set up. It was a failure. The most powerful man in the world at that time should have been the head of the League of Nations. He wasn't. The heads of the various nations, they had the power. The United Nations was set up. In theory, the head of the United Nations, the Secretary General, whatever they call him, should be the most powerful man in the world. He should be the one who can summon the armies to put down rebellions and so forth, not the leaders of countries. We have a long, long way to go before we start realizing them and us does not work. Them and us always stems from our ego thinking, from our fearful thinking, until we realize we are all one people on planet Earth, and that there's no really them and us at all. There is only humans being. Once that sinks home, maybe at long last, just if this idea is taken up by a few, and then more and more, until it becomes predominant, we will always have this business of them and us. Let's start thinking differently.